worry about them.
Do we have everybody?
Let me count.
We got Brink. We got Budnick. We got Amanda Conklin.
Yep, we're all here.
Shinsky.
Yep.
We got Hunt, Culpepper,
Here.
Ridsdale, Woods, and Dar. It looks like we have everybody. So whenever Mark's ready, he can call this thing to order. Maybe we don't have audio from Brink.
He was on mute, so he isn't showing anything right now.
Rich, do you want to call it to order while we get Mark situated?
Yeah, sure. Call the meeting to order 6:06. Approve the minutes. I don't have the minutes, so I haven't had a chance to read them.
Your next minute would be public comment.
Oh, yeah, sorry, I missed that.
And then you can
Is
go.
there any public comments? Do we have any public comment, Paul?
I don't think we have anybody else on right now other than Justin Sprague, who's gonna speak later on in the agenda.
All right. Approval of minutes. Everybody get a chance to read the minutes?
Yep, I did. Motion to approve.
Second, Shinsky.
We have a motion to approve and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, minutes passed. Treasurer report. Is our treasurer with us?
Yes,
Could you give us a quick report?
we have 66 cents in interest, no other income and no expenses, and our ending balance is $86,411.93.
Okay. We have a motion.
I'll move that we accept the treasurer's report.
Second,
Any comments?
Culpepper.
Okay, well, we have a first and a second. All in favor of approving the treasurer's report?
Aye.
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 Anyone opposed?
Got it.
All right. Let's see, TIFA plan. Do we have Justin with us?
Yep, I'm here.
Okay. This is you.
All right, thank you. Good evening, everybody. Thank you for having me again this evening to talk to you about your tax increment finance plan update. If you recall, at our last meeting, we introduced a updated draft of the plan per the Redevelopment Ready Communities Program recommendation to add in a project list based on your downtown community improvement plan. And so we moved that over and put that into the plan. And at the time, I had not heard from MEDC if that was what they were looking for and expecting as part of this update. Since I have heard from them, and they did say, yes, that was good enough for them. But during the last discussion, we also talked about adding in potential new projects and doing a review of all of the projects that were in your previous plan, as well as your community improvement plan, and then looking at some of the recommended action items from both the economic development strategy and the community fit assessment. And so tonight we were going to start out with a discussion around the existing projects that were identified. And you were going to let me know if those projects were still a priority, or if those projects have been completed and we're moving on from there. And then the second part about of our discussion tonight was to identify potential new projects for the DDA to be included into the development plan for the next several years once the new development plan is adopted. And so quickly, if I could, I'm not sure if you've all had a chance to see the community fit assessment. I thought that was a really, really good document and provided some really good opportunities. And so right out of the gate, before we went any further, one of the things that I was going to ask was if we could take, in just a second. So is everyone able to see my screen?
Yes?
Yes,
In that fit assessment from page 63 to 65, I'm sorry, 66, they have a number of recommendations, which I thought were excellent for the community. And so I thought this might be a good starting space for the DDA to sort of brainstorm around what potential thoughts they may have for future projects and what they would like to do in the downtown, and then wind back to the existing projects. So with that, I'm happy to, if you want, focus on existing projects at this point, or go through this and take your ideas around how to take some of these items and possibly expand them and create future projects out of them for the DDA. Any thoughts around that?
Well, the first one, we're trying to get rid of garage doors,
All right.
period. So the ones that exist on buildings that are operating, that's one story, but anything that's like that, we're trying to get rid of so many garage doors, so not put them in.
You're talking about facing the main street in the downtown, use them as like a service door?
Well, that they suggested to open them up for eating, different things like that for,
Sure.
but we don't, we've talked about it, but we don't want garage doors in downtown.
Okay.
How are we going to get rid of them? What's the strategy? What's the action?
Well, there's no strategy to get rid of them necessarily.
Mhm.
They suggested that the storefronts, you put garage doors in the front of the buildings.
Sure. So,
Open them up, and like the city hall building is there, and put a garage door there in the front of the building so it can be opened up for open air
That's
on Main Street.
I'm sorry, that wasn't quite what I heard. What I heard was that they just want us to use the existing garage doors to actually activate the buildings. I don't recall them saying add garage doors.
Well, what's the behind the garage doors art shows?
Yes. So my recollection is that they were recommending that we take the existing garage doors and just activate those spaces by viewing those buildings as actual retail spaces where you could open that garage door and actually run a business out of it. I don't believe they were actually recommending that we add new garage doors anywhere.
Well, I'm just saying, there's no garage doors downtown that you can open up and access. They're all private buildings that people own.
Yes, I think that, but the recommendation was that we could either work with them to paint them or to actually convert those buildings into, even if it's just a summertime, artisan studio or a gallery or.
Well, I guess
an
I'm
antique store.
confused about that. If I've got a garage building downtown that I'm using for a business to park in, or use. Why would I let anybody use it for art or anything inside my building?
Well, and I could, if I could really quick too, part of it is a trend that is happening in downtowns around restaurants and other spaces like breweries, things of that nature, where they're incorporating garage doors as a architectural feature, but they're not your traditional garage doors like what is seen here on the screen. They're more they're either bifold or they're glass, and it does allow the restaurants to expand their space into the street and invite people in and incorporate people in. And so that was kind of, if that was something that was sort of interesting to this group, if you wanted to do something along that line, that could be part of a facade improvement program, but also in activating existing spaces. If there are existing spaces downtown that are currently vacant, where the building owner is looking for a tenant and the property has garage doors, then you could try to activate or utilize that space through having events like they're recommending here, where once a month or every other month, you open that space and allow it to be utilized as a gallery or something of that sort. So I guess what I would like to bring up as a part of this is, even if you didn't go through and accept every one of these items as a potential project, I know there are a number of communities now where they are incorporating art into the downtown. For instance, where I live, the city of Fenton, each year the DDA leases up to 10 statues and sculptures and brings those in and sets them up throughout the downtown to provide conversation pieces and works with place. It's part of the placemaking, community engagement for downtown. So it wouldn't have to be something where necessarily that's exactly what you do, but if you can find ways to incorporate local art or public art into your downtown, it just serves as another tool for bringing people in, giving them something to do and see while they're in town, and then also utilizing the existing businesses that are in town.
Yeah, so the idea is that we're just taking existing buildings that happen to have garage doors in front of them, and instead of just letting them sit there bland, painted, unused, or just storage, or nobody knows what's in those buildings, that we try to actually, use them as creative space, as studio artisan space, or, just kind of, find a way to dress up the garage doors so they're not so boring or hideous, because we may have to just live with them for 10, 20 years before we can find a way to get rid of them.
So with that was where I guess I was going with my questioning is, does something like this, a public art program, make sense for the DDA to invest in or investigate investing in as part of the project list for the overall improvement of the downtown?
So the reason why I like this one is it's affiliated with brick and mortar. It's actually a tangible, actionable recommendation on something you can do to an existing facility or building, which is, we'll spend even more time tonight talking about building improvements. And it's just another idea on a way to make our downtown more attractive. Many other items on here are a little less tangible. It's like work with local schools to have art and music camps, and create music and art opportunities at Sleepy Hollow, and I guess provide some places where artists' work could be displayed, marketed, and sold. Those are all kind of they feel softer. They have softer edges on them. than saying, we're going to point to a building and say that building has a garage door and here's what we can do about it.
Sure. Nope, I agree with that. And some of these may not, may not be appropriate necessarily for the DDA as much as they are for the community. But again, I thought some of the recommendations that they had here were a great start to think about projects that could be included in your development plan that would fit under your eligible expenses categories for the DDA.
Well, we've already met some of these anyway. We're
Mhm.
already doing it. We've got public performance stage. We
Yep.
got outdoor community music events in the park, downtown, and restaurants. We're already doing all that. Working with the Schools for Art and Music Camp. I don't know anything about that, but they do artwork in our park, and we ask them to do artwork on some stuff in the city, so we incorporate that.
So
And I don't know, see, I have been asked by the local drugstore if they could paint a mural or something on the wall. And I said, well, it's your building. You're going to just have to meet the code of whatever it is.
Sure.
And so a lot of it's the personal owner's choice of what they want to put in there. It's really, to me, it's not the DDA deciding that a building needs a garage door for a restaurant or whatever, because the person that buys it's going to make that plea to us in the first place. Can they do it?
Sure. And I would, and I wouldn't recommend, I mean, there are spaces that the DDA potentially could get involved with decorating or painting if the DDA owned the building. But I wouldn't necessarily recommend that at this point. But I would encourage the DDA to consider, how can you sponsor public art when you're having your downtown festivals or music in the parks or things of that nature? Could you also sponsor a local art show or something along that line that starts to bring artists in and participate in the process? Because again, it's been shown over time that when you have some public art, that you do tend to create more of a sense of place and attract more a broader swath of diversity to the events that you're hosting. So that was just.
I think what we're trying to do here, guys, is just see if you want to support any other projects. We're not trying to tell people what to do with their buildings. We're not trying to do any of those things. We're just trying to keep moving forward instead of being stagnant. So these are some things that were brought up during the fit assessment that seemed like good ideas. Like, hey, we have these garage doors. Why don't we see if anyone who has a garage door wants to be a part of an art festival? Kind of like when we shut down downtown to bring in a carnival. Can we shut down downtown to bring in an art festival and ask people if they want to participate? So it's just things like that we're talking about. And like, one of the things that we've talked about before is, and some sort of an art exhibit. And yes, we have built the amphitheater now, but when the fit assessment was done, that hadn't been built yet. And so it basically what the building of the amphitheater did is confirm the fit assessment results, basically, because we had that in progress and it worked out to be, something that they also thought we needed. And so we're just we're brainstorming to see if there's anything else we want to add to our projects. So if anybody has any ideas, that's what we're doing.
Sure.
Can you go back to the art section, Justin?
Yes.
Since can you go back to where you were? So the other caution that I have on this fit assessment, I mean, my sense was that they kind of, it's really a collage of a lot of ideas from just two reviewers that spent a day in town, a day doing, market tours and just picking up and reading the market. And then they pretty much it's like they threw everything they could on the wall, if that makes sense. So while it seems impressive, I also, when I was there at the presentation and when I reviewed this at that time, I was like, well, it's really just like, it's like somebody just they were really reaching, like they were just reaching for everything they could and just threw everything they could on the page, if
Sure.
that makes sense. So it's a little bit, there's a little bit of that, like it's almost, so I do agree with Mr. Culpepper that, you know, there, some of this we can just kind of gloss right over because we know the market better than the fit assessors did. And some of it just didn't make sense at the time and still doesn't quite make sense.
Well, the
So
artwork, I think, is great.
yeah, we didn't vet it all. You know, there were just one person's ideas thrown on the wall.
Well, and one of the pieces that might work with that, and that's why I jumped ahead. One of the pieces, so here it talks about, let's see, right here, a trip to Owasso to visit both the Shiawassee Art Center and the Armory exhibits, art exhibits. So that might be the opportunity. That might be the call to action, is have the DDA potentially either make that trip or try to enter into a partnership with that, the Shiawassee Arts Group, to see if there's ways that they can bring mobile displays or items to Langsberg as an extension of what they're already doing. And it wouldn't take a lot of effort and probably wouldn't take a lot of money from the DDA to look into something like that or explore something like that. So it just really comes down to a matter of, is that what the DDA would like to be spending the tax increment finance dollars that you're receiving on, or would you like to focus more on your traditional meat and potatoes, hard infrastructure type projects, similar to like what it states here, add some improvements to the streetscape of the downtown, like flower planters, more signage, more promotion, things of that nature. So that's really what we're trying to get at, because a lot of the marketing stuff that you're already working on implementing, you're already doing. You've already, you know, started the process of going through and doing the request for a developer qualifications for some of the city-owned properties downtown. The question for me as I help build these projects out for you is, what can the DDA do to continue to support the city within the development district to get these projects closer to realization?
I mean, I think the DDA could, you know, get involved with, you know, phase 1, phase 2s, helping some of those things to make the property more developable. They could get involved in, you know, continue to be involved in what's happening with the outdoor seating, and they have supported that. They're supporting, you know, the bands, the movies in the park. I'd like to see them support in arts or events at the park, just other things like that. I think, are those things allowed in the plan we have, or do we need to add something specific?
No, those types of things would be allowed in the plan that you have. We would, let's see, we would implement it under studies or DDA marketing, business development, public spaces. Let's see, environmental activities would fit, public infrastructure would fit. I was thinking in here there was placemaking, but we could add stuff like that in. For public spaces, we talk about, you know, doing events, things of that nature. So those are things definitely that you could do within what you already have. We talk about incentive programs, working with property owners, hosting business to business familiarization events, doing facade improvement. So yes, that's definitely all part of what you can be doing.
Okay. I mean, I think those are, you know, should, like before we had talked about, we had like those other plans that had specific projects in them. Are we allowed to just go, hey, we want to implement this project, even though it's not like, so right there, community center and swimming pool.
So that's what that's what redevelopment communities was trying to get us to, is have specific, so they agreed with, going back to this piece here, they agreed, yes, these categories of funding are appropriate based on the act. What they were stating is, instead of just having these broad categories, now we need to have some specific projects associated with these categories and give the DDA some action items over time. So that's kind of what we were trying to get to tonight, is those specific projects. You already have some specific projects that were identified in the current economic development strategy, as well as your 2017 community improvement plan. And so what I really wanted to get to tonight is, are these projects that are already identified the projects we want to continue to promote? Which
Can we
one of-
go through each project, please, and just like everybody say yes, no, whatever?
Yes.
Okay,
So for the projects that are identified currently in the community improvement plan, they start here with the Hogback Park Master Plan, and you had a price of $457. So with this project, has this been completed? Is it still under construction? Is it still planned? Where does this stand?
it has not been completed. It has been discussed. But I don't know how the DDA feels about moving forward with that project. Any comments from the DDA?
I'm not seeing the section that Justin's referring to. I see a 12 and it says develop an amphitheater.
That's what I see.
Okay.
Justin,
I
can you move your,
misunderstood.
You go back and reshare the screen to make sure you're seeing it.
I think it should still be in the plan.
Okay, are you seeing the Word document now?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay,
how
so-
is the DDA gonna pay for a $457,000 project? What's the plan there? How do we put that in the plan, Justin, to do that?
So the question is even though the estimated cost of this park is at that 457, it doesn't necessarily have to be all funded by the DDA. You have
Okay.
some breakdown here. So what you could say is, as the city looks to redevelop Hogsback Park or create this master plan, that the DDA would be a participant or a funding partner with the city to accomplish this goal.
Okay, because the city has looked at that too, because there's some sewer or sanitary improvements that need to be done there that might help with, part of the project.
Sure. So as long as we have it identified here that the DDA would like to support that, they don't have to support the whole cost that's here. We just have to, identify that it is a project and an improvement in the community that we would like to work on, and that the DDA could support that.
Okay. Anybody else? We're just gonna keep moving if nobody says anything.
Keep moving.
I agree.
Farmers
Agree.
market. So farmers market, where are we at with the farmers market?
We have one. It's basically on Roosevelt Row. We don't have any plans right now for a structure. I don't know that we have anybody on the DDA that is involved in the farmers market. And I'm not really sure if they would like, just a summer structure or more of a, year-round type of structure from what I might have heard.
Okay. And that
So the
again-
DDA could again partner to support part of that or something if that comes to fruition.
Yep, and that would include, like it says here, open air shelter, parking space. You could even do temporary shelter that the DDA could purchase to supplement in the short term for a potential, larger structure. But if this is still a valid project, I say let's keep it in.
Well, I think keep it in, but that budget seems kind of tiny to do that kind of work and do it well. Gosh, I can't imagine building a structure, even a shelter, an open air shelter for 165,000. That seems awfully tiny. So I think it's more like 500,000, isn't it? I don't know.
Well, it depends on what you're putting up, but if you just put a pole building structure with a roof on it and no walls or anything, it would easily fall into that, or should.
Nothing falls into the $165,000 category anymore, in my opinion. I've seen too many
Yeah.
projects come in and they're not 165,000, but I mean, maybe the DDA share could be that or something, Justin. I don't know how you want to add the cost.
Well, and that, you know, as well, I can always go back and talk to Christopher with Redevelopment Ready, because even though the act states that we should have specific costs and engineered studies for some of these, I'm questioning, we identified that over the next 20 years, the DDA could capture up to 3,130,000, and we put price ranges within each of these eligible expense categories for projects. And our hope was here, instead of actually identifying costs for each individual project, that you could go back and say, this project fits into one of these categories, it serves a public interest, and this is the anticipated money that we intend to spend on, you know, this category over this time. So, and because as you
You
can
know that, like if we apply for a grant or something, it's very important to have these things specified in DDA plans, the city's master plan, the city's capital improvement plan. Any of those items, if they're laid out in there, it's really helpful. Whether the cost is accurate or not doesn't matter, because until we actually engineer it and get it all laid out and then get a bid, we really don't know the cost, but we have to have something to know, to put in there. But it is important to have these things in there if anybody wants to look at grants or funding for these in the future.
Sure, and as you can see, the next few projects, McClintock Park, the expansion of Memorial Park, standards and amenities, those were also in the community improvement plan, but those ones did not have any costs associated with them. They were items 4, 5, 6, and 7 identified on page 6 and 7 of that plan. And so in this case, I'm not sure if these are ideas that we want to keep in here. I know you've done a lot to this park. But we just don't.
I think that with the addition of the amphitheater, that it would be important to add something new to the skate park to keep the kids off the amphitheater. I mean, I think it's a great idea to have on there that we would like to add equipment to the amphitheater or to the skate park in case. I mean, these items are probably $20,000 to $50,000 each if we buy pieces for the skate park. So I don't think it's a bad idea to keep, park improvements in there, or however we have to put it. Anybody else?
I believe it needs to be a standing thing that, like you're saying, basically myself, is because there's always going to be improvements and ideas that people would like to add to over the years.
I agree.
Okay.
Let's move on. Expansion of Memorial Park, isn't that the same as Hogsback?
No, Memorial Park is by the dentist office, the post office. It's that strip between Grand River and the post office. It's got a memorial wall and flags.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
Standards for amenities,
I think that ought to stay on there, the Memorial Park too.
safe routes to school.
Yeah, Safe Routes to School, it says completed a grant in 2015. So again, this was one that I wasn't sure, should it stay in or was this done?
I don't know. I mean, basically the safe routes to school. I don't remember what we were looking at there. Langsburg is prior to, okay, so, I mean, so specifically for the DDA to fund sidewalk, it would need to be in the district. which is something
I
that
think we
they,
had lighting in there too, Paul,
I'm sorry.
for the safe routes to school. I think we were talking about at one time some lighting in the park there, so you get from the high school to the middle school, along the pathway.
So, I mean, there might be some things that the DDA would want to do, but it's not necessarily, I don't know,
So one of the things that we could look at in that case, because, all right, I'm gonna stop sharing again really quick, and I wanna pull up one additional piece. So going back to this item, which is your previous plan, we talk about street improvements. We talk about in one space, yeah, streetscape here, streetscape development, adding new street lighting, landscaping, visual elements, things of that nature. So these are items that I could actually just pull directly from this plan and bring over to the new plan, and if they weren't completed. So, and if you want to start at the top here, I know there are a number of items that you've already worked on and completed. You've done your design study, you have a master plan, you've completed your market study, you've updated your zoning ordinance. This still fits with the categories that you have in your new plan as far as eligible expenses. Same with operation and administration. You have snow removal, street cleaning, top coating in here. That's not currently in the new plan, but it is part of your public spaces and public infrastructure category. So we could move this over easily. Same with maintenance, repairs, business promotion. You already have this in your existing categories in the new plan. Parking area improvements. We could, like I said, bring this over if these parcels are still identified as places to improve parking with that downtown parking. Any thoughts on these, Paula?
yeah, I don't know specifically those parcels, but the DDA has several, I mean, there's a lot of parking lots in the downtown area that the DDA has tried to, keep up with, and improve upon. So I would definitely think the DDA wants to keep something in there, even if they partner with the city.
Yeah, so what I could do is just go ahead and take the parcel specifics out here and just state, parking area within, parking areas within the district itself. The DDA would like to, have the opportunity to support and assist in development or redevelopment if necessary.
I agree, and these other things are just as important. Improving alleys, streetscape, burying power lines, keep going. Street improvements, I mean, without micro reading all of this, it all seems, I think a lot of it is just kind of good judgment that, yeah, this stuff ought to be part of our current DDA plan. A lot of these things are ongoing maintenance type stuff.
Sure.
And maybe we just bump up the costs on some of these because these prices are 20 years out of date. I would
Double
just
them all.
double every number,
Yep.
Yeah, that's a good approach. There's a lot of good stuff here and I'd hate to lose it. So yeah, let's pick it up and carry it forward.
Okay, that's really helpful.
Actually, 19 is, I don't know for sure when but there's supposed to be a community center opening up here if they ever get it open.
Would that be in the district?
It's in the district, but it's private, or
Okay.
it's not city or anybody.
Okay, well then, based on that, what I can do then is I'll just bring these over, and then Paula, you and I can have a quick phone call to, like with the street improvements. Would it make sense here to, I don't
Yeah,
know if
I'll
these
go
have
through
been,
those and tell you what we already did, where we're at.
Yeah. you can pull those out.
Yeah,
But we leave street improvements in.
Yeah, I
correct.
think it's good to have them in as a short paragraph like that without, it doesn't have to be real detailed, just as long as it's in there, just as long as we carry it along.
Okay, well then I will go ahead and move these over. It sounds like there's some agreement there. And then I can send you the revised updated draft, Paula, and then you and I can have a quick phone call just to verify what pieces that they need to come out.
That sounds good.
Looks good to me. Can we go back to the new one where you were reviewing things that are on our current plan?
I believe.
That was our current plan.
Oh, well. Our-
Surprise, surprise.
Our hopefully new plan.
Yeah.
So I guess the same kind of thing applies, that some of this is just kind of common sense. I think we'd rather be personally would rather it be more all-inclusive than accidentally omit something
Sure.
through oversight because we didn't pick up everything, So I think if you pick up stuff from our current plan and put it into this proposed plan, then it's just a matter of, I think, just redlining anything that is obviously a no, because we obviously did it, or it's not a maintenance thing. It's something that we're clearly just not wanting to do at all.
Sure.
So is there anything on either of these pages that we just don't want to do at all? I don't think so. What about the next two pages?
There's nothing beyond here. Then we get back into the actual requirements of the.
So it is just those two pages?
Yep.
Okay, yeah, definitely. We need to embellish. And then back to the fit. Can you go back to the fit document?
Let me go back and pull that up.
So now we're circling back around and saying, okay, from the current plan and the proposed plan, is there anything in the fit document that would trigger us to say, is there anything we're seeing that really should be added? Is there anything here that just doesn't fit into the two plans? Can you go back? Where's the first page? Was art and culture the first page?
Yep.
Yeah, that there's the first page.
So I guess the big topic is, do we want to have a DDA arts initiative? Is what a lot of this is just talking about, arts and artisans and art shows and art camps and art events. And do we need to have a line item that says undertake a community arts initiative?
So what I would do is include something that along the lines of supporting the arts, that you would look at as a DDA, look at individual requests to support the arts as they may be presented to you. And that way you're not committed to undertaking a specific program, but it allows you to look at things such as, leasing public art or statues or things of that nature to bring it into the community once a year, or supporting art shows or things of that nature that you can incorporate into your pre-existing events.
Yep. Cool. That would be awesome. How about the next page? Business. Utilize empty buildings for restaurants, retail.
Most of this you already have covered in your
Okay.
and so this page didn't really have a lot to look at from that standpoint.
Okay.
Next here was, how to maybe tie some of the art stuff into some of your work. And so that was where I kind of made the suggestion about, would it be worthwhile, speaking with the Shiawassee Art Center and seeing if there's anything that they have that may, work to promote what you're trying to accomplish in Langsburg by bringing more individuals to the downtown.
I think I would like to see that just rolled into the paragraph that just talks about arts in general.
Easy enough.
You know, so that we're not committing to something that's so fine grained that we're saying you have to go to Owasso and you have to visit the arts center and you have to, you know, like follow these exact steps, but just, again, just a statement saying we support the arts.
Yep, have it as an opportunity.
Yep. Now at the bottom, there's something, and marketing is in here. Encourage visitors. Yeah, that's marketing. Replicate events. That's marketing. There's a lot of marketing stuff on here. Do we need to have a paragraph that addresses funding to have a marketing effort, like to create a marketing plan?
You've already created a marketing plan,
Okay.
but there's also a line currently about supporting the marketing plan or updating the marketing plan. So that's in there as it exists now. But
Okay.
we could add more to it based on, just expanding it out or incorporating items around marketing, that support the fit assessment or something along that line.
Yeah, you can show us later what the marketing, that section, what that addresses the marketing. Just so we can see it. Is it robust enough or is it too skinny?
Paula, is the current marketing plan located on the website as well?
I think it is.
So maybe we just need language in here saying that we're dedicated to continuing to follow that marketing plan.
Sure.
And just re-invoke, to make a tie to that marketing plan, a link of some sort to that marketing or reference to that marketing plan.
Sure.
Our marketing, we have a Langsberg marketing plan and a marketing strategy.
Then that probably covers most of what we really need to do on marketing.
Yeah, a lot of that's already laid out.
Okay, how about this last item? Correct the intersection of First and Lang. That seems out of place here, but it seems important.
Yeah, that one I wasn't quite sure of because I just wasn't sure what they were referring to as part of the fit assessment.
Well, so if you live in Langsberg.
Oh, it's that stop sign. It's the stop
Yeah, so
sign.
it's right by
Oh,
the funeral
gosh.
home. There's like a weird little triangle there that there's a stop sign one way and then traffic flows the other way and
Oh, it's awful.
Yeah.
The horses couldn't make up the minds which way to go, and so they split both sides.
I really think that sign is such a death trap. I really feel like that's important because it's so dangerous.
It is 25 miles an hour and very low traffic. I'm sorry about the death trap, but
Yeah, but still.
we really haven't even had any accidents that I know of there. So
I'm
just
shocked.
saying, I understand that to them that was very strange, and probably to any visitor it is, but whether it's on the DDA's correction list or not is, I mean, that could just be something that's on the city's list of things to take care of, but.
Right. Maybe that's a city thing.
Okay.
I mean, if DDA wants to take it on, I'm good with it. I'm just telling you that I don't know that it really is something the DDA wants to try to take on.
Sure. We have lots of other things
I think so.
on our list. My concern is that we're always talking about bringing more visitors so we can convert visitors into shoppers. And we have visitors coming into town then, and they are not expecting to see a stop sign in the middle of asphalt.
Right, but I think let's get them here, before we start worrying
Get
about.
them here
I
and
think you guys
kill
have a
them
lot.
first.
Yeah, I think you guys have a lot of other things to take care of before you worry about that stop sign. I'm not saying it isn't important. I'm just saying that, where do we want to focus? And I think that's what this discussion should be about, is the arts and the businesses and the, whatever we're trying to do to attract people, the marketing. And those are the big things, I think.
Sure, that's fair enough.
Yeah.
But I think it's a it's on the list legitimately, but maybe it's a city issue, not a DDA issue. Sorry, Justin, can you go to the next page? Just because I'm trying to Keep us
Yep, and then the
moving.
rest was mostly.
Scenery, scenic driving tours, expanding, okay, this is recreation,
And
water
it's
parks,
mostly recreation
hiking,
outside of the district.
biking. So one thing I keep talking about is the kayak launch, but there is land where there is a possibility to do a kayak launch, but it technically falls just outside of the city. But it's not technically in the DDA. However, if we did get a launch, if the city and the city's rec committee supported it and actually created a kayak launch at this parcel, it's on the southern end of Langsberg Road, right at Looking Glass River. I guess it's at the northeast quadrant of Looking Glass River and Langsberg Road, northeast corner.
Yeah, it's on the
That,
city's radar for sure.
Pardon me?
That is on the radar.
Yeah,
It's-
I keep bringing it up, and I'm like, I'm ready to join the recreation committee just to try to push that agenda because I feel like it's so important. And the reason is that all of that traffic, when it heads north, all that traffic ends up right in downtown.
Right, so does the DDA want to have something in there that supports this project? I think is where we need to be.
I do, but I would not want to, I don't want to push that if everyone else disagrees, but I think it's important because that is something that's really going to bring visitors and bring them, they practically have to go through the downtown to get to it, especially if they're staying at Sleepy Hollow State Park.
It is on the city's CIP plan. It's something that is on our radar. But I don't see why the DDA can't support it if something were to come about. But it's outside of the DDA's district.
Is it possible? Is it reasonable, Justin? You tell me, you tell us, is it reasonable to have language in our plan that says we're going to support citywide initiatives, including a potential kayak launch, or is that going too far?
Yeah, that makes sense. However, I think you really have to keep the funding or the spend of the DDA within the district itself. So for something like that, it would be difficult to justify spending DDA funds if it was outside of the district. That doesn't mean you could support something like a kayak rental facility downtown, or the DDA could provide, if it was a city operated launch, the DDA could provide the shelter within the district, where the kayaks and things are stored. But the money really has to be spent in the district.
Do we have a citywide rec plan?
Yes,
Can we just have language in our DDA that says that in addition to supporting the marketing plan, we also support the citywide rec plan and would, wherever implications, wherever those plans have implications for the DDA district, that we would consider making contributions, I don't know how to write it. I don't know how to say it, but
No, I can come up with some language for sure.
thank you. That would be nice. So now I'm imagining one of those buildings with garage doors where you throw it open in the summer or just on the weekends, and the garage door is painted with some cool kayaks, and you're storing kayaks in there and pulling them out on the weekend and renting them out.
Sure.
I'll do it.
So
That'll be my retirement job.
that's what I have now. So I've got direction, I believe, based on what you've given me this evening, to come up with a new draft to share with Paula that she and I can go through to make sure I get the right information in, and then have that for you to approve prior to your next meeting.
sounds good.
Thank you.
Thanks, Justin.
You're welcome.
Frank, are you ready to take over? Maybe not. He's muted.
All right.
Am I muted now?
No, now you're speakable.
Well, let's move on. Holy smokes. We have several face forward grants
got a lot
that people
before
are
that,
interested
Mark.
in.
We
Pardon?
have a
We got a whole lot before that, Mark.
we got the landscaping contract and the
Oh,
movie.
yeah. Let's go back.
New business.
The new business approval, the landscaping contract. It doesn't look like it got raised any. Is anybody interested in
Make a
putting any
motion
more
to
money into
approve.
it for new bulbs or any of that? You have a motion to approve?
I do, yep. Same price
Well,
as last year.
Do you want to add any more flowers?
Always. The more flowers, the better. Do we need more flowers, Paula?
We
What
need
do you
more
think?
money with more flowers, so you gotta look at the money.
Yeah, I know.
It's $650 more. Or $125 more for bags of bulbs.
I think we need more flowers.
So
And he just said to make sure that I reminded you guys, if you wanted to do that, to let you know.
let's tell him to put it, well, that's quite 650. Let's tell him to put it up to
21,
well,
22.
the total is 6764, correct? $6,764 is the total, correct?
I gotta go look at it. So
I'm looking at it right now.
okay.
Say the
So
number.
if we tell him that we can spend, let's say we'll spend 7,200 even.
Why 72?
7,200. It's gonna he can give us some bulbs. He can give us. It's up to him. That's what he does, and he can add us some flowers. Instead of making it 650 and 25, we'll make it $7,200. Give us some more flowers for that money.
Then he's gonna have to rewrite this contract because it says an additional 20 plants may be added in various locations to help fill in voids over time for an additional $650 initial here if this option is authorized. Also, we can add bags of spring bulbs to be installed in the fall for a price of $125.
A bag
Exactly. I understand that.
I'm just saying, so somebody's gonna have to contact him to change this and everything. Or we just
When I
don't.
take him his first check, that's exactly what I'll do. I say, we'll give you $7,200 and we want another 500 and some change in bulbs or flowers. Okay?
What's the
Pretty
current?
simple. End of story. You don't need to rewrite nothing.
I don't
We'll
think
just
everybody
$7,200
understands what you
Give us
got.
some more flowers.
No.
Whatever they'll buy in flowers, buy them.
Mark, I don't think everybody on the board understands what you're doing
Right.
about flowers. They don't understand that you've already got flowers all the way downtown and you've already hit part of the fit plan and they're actually adding and redoing them. I don't believe. I think there's a confusion there that it already exists and this guy has been doing this for years.
We don't have a lot of color. We don't have a lot of flowers.
What I'm confused about is what I'm hearing that the current budget is maybe 6,800 and I'm confused about how we went from 6,800 to 72. I'm just not understanding
Well,
the
they're
increment.
offering the option to plant more flowers in the fall and put flowers in where there's void spots and that costs more
Yes.
money.
Yes, I know, but
And
I'm just
he
not
has an
seeing the
exact
math.
amount for a
I'm
certain
not-
amount of flowers. I'm just saying,
understanding
we'll
the
give
math.
him X number of dollars, which is the 7,200. So we're gonna raise the price a little bit here. And for that, he's gonna put in some more flowers or bulbs, both.
Yes, yes, but why?
He's a local guy. He takes care of it. We're gonna give him some more money, the 650 exactly and the 125 exactly. We're gonna buy some more flowers with whatever the extra money is above the $6,764.
All right. Why not go to 7,500?
Okay, would you like to make a motion? We go to 7,500?
I'm throwing it out there. I mean, that's why I'm like,
Okay, make a motion to
I'm not
make it to
trying to, I'm not trying to
7,500.
be, I'm not trying to be difficult at all on increasing his budget. I agree. I'm just wondering if I heard Paula say that she
If
felt
we'd
we
want to do
needed,
that, that's fine. If not, we're gonna
If I
move
could
on and
finish.
we're just gonna do the 6764.
if I could finish, I would like permission to finish, please. I heard Paula indicate that she
Go ahead.
felt we needed more flowers. I heard you propose that we increase the budget. I don't disagree with increasing the budget. I'm wondering if we could decide, if we could have a discussion about what is the right amount of an increase? Do we actually increase it to 7,500 or increase it to 8,000? Is there a real need somewhere to actually increase? If we actually gave him more budget, could we actually really enhance, the flowers that we have in our community? That's what I'm trying to ask.
I would assume so because he would plant more flowers. I mean, it would be more flowers added for the money.
So right now we have a motion to approve the contract. Mike, did your?
Which is 6764.
Right, but then there, in the emotion, we need a second.
My
And then-
motion,
Correct.
And then we also need to know whether we want to initial for the additional planting that Mr. Boyd presented us.
I
well,
would
in my
support-
motion, I would include that we put in the bulbs and the missing plants, whatever the total dollar was, is about $700 or $800 to whatever
Yeah,
that max
so
is.
we would include the additional plantings as suggested by Boyd.
Yes, that was,
Okay.
that was actually
So
my
that-
motion. I don't
that-
want to get myself, if somebody wants to make a motion to give him extra money on top of that, they can do that, but it's,
So is there a second for Mike's motion?
I would second it.
And then
Okay.
after roll some, we can see how they look.
exactly. And this year, the carnival is later, so I don't know when he starts, but we've never planted them before the carnival, but by then it'll be June.
Yeah. Okay, so we have a motion and a second, Mark.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
Aye.
Aye, sorry. I was thinking of roll call.
Anyone opposed? We'll carry it.
Sweet.
Movie in the park. Did we decide how many that we were going to sponsor? Is that the question?
Right, did you see what Jody was asking for?
Is it not correct that last month we made a motion to pay for the movies
Nope, that was for the music.
or the music? Yeah.
Yep, and so Gail, just as an update, Gail was able to get sponsors for all of the music, and the DDA only has to sponsor one.
Then I make a
So we're
motion
gonna
that we pay
sponsor the
for all
fir-
the movies in the park.
Which, so what Jody is asking for is she's looking for the DDA to see if they're willing to sponsor the 2021 season from August 7th to July 18th, showing 7 movies with an estimated cost of $3,235.
And then we have one movie or music in the park we sponsor as well. So is that correct? Is that
That's my
600?
understanding that Gail, when
Okay.
I looked at the listing that she put out, the DDA only has to cover one.
So if that's the case, we're spending the same money basically as we would have spent on the music if they didn't have sponsors.
Actually, I think less, because the music, she was expecting to be about $1,000 a time.
Yeah, so I'd make the motion to pay for the moves in the park. That way the businesses don't have the burden. The DDA is actually trying to put life back into this community in the summer and really showing that effort.
Ridsdale seconds that.
Got it.
Any other comment? So what is your total, for the two? Approximately 4,200,
Yeah,
4,300-ish?
but Gail didn't get me information on what it was supposed to cost, but I think she was guessing about $1,000 a show.
So we'll say it is, we'll say it's $1,000 plus this 32.35. She's accurate on the 32.35, correct?
Yeah, she said it's an estimate with shipping and, because we have to order the movies, but I'm guessing that's real close.
Okay, we'll just cover all of them, no matter what her cost is, as long as it say $3,500.
Okay.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Carry. Outdoor seating. Do we need to look at replacing a few things, Paula?
Yeah, I think we do. We're gonna need some additional planters. Last year, we didn't have enough planters. I think we need to buy 4 or 5 more of those. Again, we're gonna plan to plant them ourselves with the Girl Scouts or something. So that will add to some flowers that we have downtown as well. And then I know we need some additional umbrellas. And I don't know if we want to add tables and chairs this year or not. I think we probably have enough for this season, but if we want to start adding them, maybe next year we want a budget to add some in case anything else opens up where we could place them.
Do we have a dollar amount for the needs?
I don't really have a dollar amount. I'm thinking the planters could be around $500 with adding I don't remember what we paid for the flowers last year. We got to buy the flowers, the planters. And then we need some umbrellas, which were probably about less than $100 each. So I'm guessing 1,000 or 2,000 should cover it. Dave, are you on? I don't know if Dave Castler's on or not. Because
Haven't seen
he
him.
was inventorying it for me, but
Yeah, I'm on.
there he
You're
is.
pretty close price wise. All the tables and chairs we got right now are okay for this year.
yeah, those seem to be fine. I know we had some umbrella issues.
Seems like this
Yeah,
is
but
money
remember
well
you ordered
spent.
some right at the end, so we got like 2 extra.
It seems like this is money well spent, that this is real, these really are the sorts of things that the DDA should be continuing to maintain and uphold and continue to invest in. I would support it.
Let's get a motion to give it a little bit of money here.
I
Mayor
would make
makes
a
a motion for
motion,
2,500.
2,500?
That leaves them room. It doesn't have to spend it all, but it leaves them room in case they have to buy a table or something this year because something opens up.
Yeah, that's fair. I would second that.
Because I know they're not going to spend it all just to spend it.
Right.
Anyone else have a comment?
And we need more flowers anyway.
Thank you.
Yep. So
Okay, let's vote. All in favor?
Aye.
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 aye. That's 6.
Anyone opposed? Okay, it's carried. Paula, looking through these applications,
Yeah,
I'm sure a lot of people, it looked like, kind of rushed and you know, couldn't get all the stuff that they needed, in a short period of time.
That's probably true. I don't know, maybe they didn't read when we said we didn't have a deadline, so, or maybe they just wanted to get their project turned in, I don't know. So
Well,
did you
we
guys,
mailed them out late, right?
did you guys see what we sent out? I tried
I
to give
did.
you,
Yes,
Yes.
so we tried to make sure that every property owner in the district got that. And then we tried to encourage them to understand that we didn't have a deadline necessarily, so you may get more. I mean, so whatever you need to do, if you need to ask people for more information, if you know, maybe some of these people are just ready, their project's ready to go. I know that it's real hard right now to get a price on things, that people are having trouble getting a hold of contractors. If you're trying to order windows or other things, the lead time is long. So I do know there's some issues with that stuff. So
That's why I'm wondering if wondering how maybe to decide how and if we're going to pick certain ones, or if we're going to try to help each one, or if we need to, because the deadline is so quick, and I know some of them didn't get the bids they needed and don't have the prices and so on.
but I mean, we did say there's no deadline. So there's no reason why you can't just, if you need more information from somebody, we can seek that. If you guys want to decide what you want to put into these, what you have left in your budget, if there's some that you're like, oh yeah, we can fund that right now. I mean, I don't know what you guys want to do, but I mean, there's a slew of them, and I think it's great. I think it's wonderful that all these people, want to put money into their building in downtown Langsford. So
I have a
Absolutely.
question though. What does
Go
our
ahead.
contract say about self-work? Now, we have several of them that like painting, and they've started it and so forth, and they're doing the painting and so forth and so on. And they don't have any estimates, which they would have to get, but if they're still doing it, their price is definitely going to go a lot higher.
I mean,
So
they would
what-
have to provide you receipts for the paint and stuff. I mean, we're not just gonna pay them whatever they turn in. They actually have to turn in receipts, right, Mark?
Correct, yes.
Right, but I thought our contract, and I'm not trying to hold to it, I'm just wondering, does our contract say it has to be done by a licensed contractor?
No, you can actually do it by your own also. But you're supposed to get at least 2 bids. And like you said, if you're going to do it yourself, you can do it yourself, but the bid would probably be higher than what you would do it yourself for. And I guess in certain cases, I don't know how we would determine whether or not you're getting paid, yourself is getting paid. So if that's part of the project, or if
We
it
have it
can
right
just
in
be
our
paid for
you can-
material.
Yeah, it's right in our thing. You can't be paid yourself if you do the work yourself. You can only get paid for materials if you do the work yourself. So really you get more bang for your buck, the DDA or the city does, if somebody self-performs, because you're not paying for labor.
Has everybody reviewed what the Face Forward program requires?
yes.
Okay, because that's good, because that's a good start. So,
Yeah.
if it says in there that people can paint themselves, then, there's no issue, right?
Right, and that's the only reason I'm asking.
Okay,
That, I'm not
The
trying to
other
question what we
I
got.
have, Paul,
what's that?
we have $5,000 to Geisler and 5,000 to Ridsdale at this point on the books, correct?
That's correct. Those have not been paid out yet. Because Jeff was waiting for some stuff on his windows last I knew. And I don't know where Rosemary's is at, sorry.
Rosemary's waiting for the roofing and contractors.
Okay. I mean, I knew that Jeff and Gail had come to us and said, you know, look, we've been waiting and we can't get them in or whatever right now. And so I'm pretty sure neither one of them have been paid out.
In our budget, we have what in there for, these Face Forward grants?
If we have,
5,000.
is it 5,000? Okay.
No, what I'm saying is the DDA has in our budget, we have 5,000 left. Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying that for 2021, the budget was 5,000 for Face Forward.
Is that 5,000 left? Wasn't it 15,000 that we had in our budget? Or did we lower it?
It was lowered. It doesn't
Okay.
mean we can't change that. I mean, we could, you know, make a
I
motion to
understand.
change that. But you asked specifically what was budgeted. It was 5,000.
So we did lower it.
Yes.
Okay, I guess, has
right.
everyone had a chance to look at all of the applications?
I have.
Yes,
Yeah.
I have.
And remember, you could get more because we left this open-ended, right?
Well,
You know,
yeah.
I'm still
There's-
in the process, I'm still in the process of trying to catch up. Sorry, I'm a little behind on all of the applications, but the only one I'm confused about really is the very first one, which is expert lawn and snow. I'm a little puzzled by that one. And
Yeah.
then
Hey.
some of the others, I guess I still have to try to figure out. I'm sorting through them. It looks like there's a lot here. They're really good. There's some really good ones in here.
How do you guys want to approach this?
Can someone explain the lawn and snow one to me? My sense is that really in the DDA? Is that a house?
It is.
Is it?
No, it's a building right on the corner of Lang and Crum.
Yeah.
That building has been vacant for 30 years. Anybody want to help me out on that one?
At
Anyway.
It's
least,
been vacant for at least 40 years.
Okay, so they recently purchased that building. It used to be a livery. That's how old it is. There was a gas station there with an apartment upstairs, and then so these guys have purchased it to run their lawn and snow care business out of. It's right on the edge of the district, I believe. And they have put some siding on already. I think they want to put an apartment upstairs. They have to put in a parking lot and do some other improvements, but I think they're going to paint the exterior. There's brick there, probably some windows that need to be done. So yeah, I don't really know what exactly.
No, you answered it for me. Thank you.
Okay.
That's what I was looking for. Thanks.
The only
Is
thing
that
I
their
had on
closet,
that
huh?
was,
we're, the only issue I see is that we're gonna have to determine somehow, we owe 10,000 out right now that we've already voted on, correct?
right,
Right, but that would be out of this year's budget, right?
Yes,
And some
But
of this
next
stuff
year-
probably wouldn't even get paid out until next year's budget.
their total request is almost, well, it's 39.5 basically, correct?
well,
Yeah,
wasn't there, I didn't get to see it. Was there one or two apps that you added to the emails tonight?
one, and it was Budnick, so there's probably another 3,500.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to see that one, so.
Yeah, 36.
Yeah, so there would be another 3,600 to that.
42,000 basically we have total right now.
43.
So, and I agree with
Approximately 43,000, we'll say.
I agree with Paula that some of it would not be paid out until next year's budget.
I'd really like to see, the painting's fine, but I'd really like to see another estimate for windows, because I went by there today and I only counted, what I can see here is like 6 windows, maybe 8 total on the bottom level of that. And that's making them $2,000 a piece. Or close to it. Because the estimate says 6 or something like that from one company, so. On that first one.
So are there, I mean, if you go through them, are there any that are complete that you want to like just go ahead and fund, or do you want to like look? I mean, nothing says you have to make this decision tonight. I think one of the things you need to know is what you actually have left in your budget for this year, right? And what you have for your budget next year. And then maybe you could fund some now and some next year. Do you want to just give everybody a little bit? Do you want to fund them all in their entirety? You may get more. So there's some things to think about.
That's the question at hand, yes.
Well, and the
Who and how
question is at
many
hand
and
is,
so on,
we-
correct.
and the question to all of us, I guess, is do we look at the new applications that we got versus repetitive people that have got passed and try to award to people that never got him? Or do we include everybody?
Or do you
Even though
look
the
at,
apps are included, but there's people that's got money in the last couple years and so forth.
I mean, I think that maybe you need to look at what is going to make the biggest impact, or, how's it going to affect the district? Those kind of things are important too.
Well, I think that, you're right. When you look at it, you come through town or whatever, is everything that you're going to do pretty much be able to be seen as you drive through versus not see or whatever. Kind of like the stop sign issue, nobody sees it. Nobody really pays much attention to it till they're there. So I don't have any, I don't know. We got so many applicants, I'm not sure which way to go.
It's definitely a new era, because I think the most we've ever had before was 3, maybe 4 at one time.
Yeah, and sometimes we've had none.
Right.
Well, most of the time, well, yeah, sometimes we've had none. So this is kind of new ground. And
So
to make a decision on $42,000 or $43,000, I think that takes a little more than just giving everybody $42,000 or $43,000 myself.
Well, by the time we paid our bills and if we paid it all out, we wouldn't have any money left. Because we got 10 going, it'd be different budget, but. Well, when I looked through them, quite frankly, the Woodhall Street one, and I'm just saying what I seen, the Jelinek and the Weemans on Grand River, that big 2-story house. That's why I asked the questions, because they seem to be some of the biggest bang for the buck from road seeing, and I haven't looked at all of them because there's others that do apply to that, so I'm not taking anything out, but that's what I seen complete.
Yeah,
Anyone else?
my sense is that I would fund half of them this year and fund half of them next year. And because like you said, this is the first time we've had so many. I'm not sure we want to, well, we could be setting a precedence if we start saying, well, we're going to fund 10 all in one year. We could get another 10 next year. But what if we just say, well, and like Paula said, we might be getting more. We might get additional applications this year. So we may have to, just to be wise, just to be cautious with our finances, maybe we just fund half of them this year and say, we're interested in funding you, but we may have to revisit your application next year if that's okay. Are you willing to wait?
Well, if
And
I
I like the
understand
idea
correctly,
about, I wouldn't try to fund all of them by saying, well, we'll only give you half. Well, I don't know. Maybe that's another option, is to say, well, maybe we just say, well, we'll match you. We'll split it with you. I like the idea of doing the ones that have the most impact.
Well, if I understand correctly, and please do correct me if I'm wrong, we have $10,000 out of the 86 we have to pay right now, still to go. But then when we get a new budget of the new year in July, we'll still have our balance and we'll be funding whatever the amount we approve for, because right now we only have $5,000 in our budget.
Correct.
Okay, so the only way we can do it to start with is we're gonna have to up the amount of money we're gonna put in, no matter how many we do. Because right now you can only give one for $5,000.
So if we did them all, what would we have left? So if we use some money from this year and next year and funded everything, what would we have left?
Well, I don't know, because you'd have to figure in your fund, I
All
guess
the
you get when
things that-
August, Tifa.
Yeah, what's that payment?
So
What is which payment?
The August TIFA payment.
Or whenever you get it for the next year.
Um, so we're estimating Tifa for summer is 60,000 and Tifa for winter is 10,000,
70,000.
70,000 total.
For the total
What
year.
are we committed to? What are we committed to right now for next year for sure that we have to pay?
We got,
$34,540.
So we got about 35 left for on next year's budget, plus our 60,000 we'll have left this year's budget.
Yep. So although there's 5,000 over the 5,000 budget, so really what's committed is 35. No, almost 40,000 is committed. I would have to double check against. So movies. So we've gone over budget on several things. I think I'd have to do a comparison.
Yeah.
You know, movie in the park, we had allocated $600. Music in the park, $450. Well, we voted to go over those already.
And you just raised the amount for your flowers too.
Right. We allocated 7,000 for the landscaping, so we're a little bit over on that. I think we have to shore up what we voted on with what we budgeted.
So after this year's fiscal year, what will we have left to carry over into next year? Roughly.
Well, like I said, we need to shore up what we passed here.
And what you've just voted on.
Right.
what did you say we have in the bank right now, Rosemary?
Right now in the bank, we have $86,411.27. And we had a proposed budget that would be a spend of about $35,000. However, we've already voted over and above that by at least 10 that I can tick off in my mind.
Right, so what we
without
need to
validating.
figure out what we haven't spent out of that proposed budget, and I gotta try to find that. I don't have it right now.
The
So
budget,
that-
I can
that-
forward it to you.
So that would leave about roughly 40, and then plus whatever we pick up next year.
we'd have
Well,
70 coming in too.
Like some
so-
of those movies, I don't know that we'll pay for, I don't know that we'll have to pay for all of those out of this year's budget. And then if the music isn't paid for until after July, then that would be next year's budget. So those are kind of a couple of things. And then the flowers, do we pay for all of those, Mark, before July 1st?
No,
Right.
We make 3
So-
payments, I think.
So what else?
we could actually,
we have left that this year, we might hit. So I know we have 10 that we have to pay out for.
You have 10 that you have to pay out right now.
Right.
Well, off that
But that was
money.
figured into that. So that was all in the committed cost. So we really, roughly, we'd have roughly 40 at the end of this fiscal year, plus what we pick up next year. So, I mean, it sounds like there's enough to do them all if that's what we wanted to do. I know that because of COVID and the unusual year we had, that's why we extended it with the limit and set out the letters. And so, I
Right.
mean, you're getting, I mean, everybody participating in beautifying Lanesburg, I guess, is the bottom line of it for the money. So, I mean, if we funded them all, then next year we go back to our strict deadline and say, kind of limit that where we go back to following the way we've written it up a little more closely so we don't run into this issue. But
Well, I got a question for you. On that thought, Richard, how would we handle the deadline on those?
On what?
well, next year's we would implement that back in. Obviously, we can't do it now because we've said there's no deadline. But
Well, a deadline for
unless
application.
unless we send something out right now and say, we want to kind of limit that till June, and then we're gonna jump back into our protocol of, applications need to be in by the end of March and moving forward.
The work
Well, in the
has
past
to be
years,
done
all
by
the
the
work
end of
had to be done
November.
in November.
No,
Correct.
right. I know that. I'm just talking about the application process. for
Right.
next year.
The application period
Yeah.
or process, I didn't know. I wondered about the deadline of having the work done. Is it
Yeah.
going to be
Well,
extended?
We're gonna put a deadline on that. I mean, it's still November as far as I know, right, Paula? I mean, we just put an open end on the application process.
Right.
Right.
So-
Well, that's what I was making sure of, so that everyone does know and understand that the projects have to be finished by November unless they get extended or something else.
Well, we did provide
Right.
everyone the application as well. We just said that we were being flexible about the deadline for filing an application. We didn't say that they didn't have to be completed by the deadline. So I guess one of the things that someone could do is reach out to the people who have submitted and get the questions answered that the DDA has and when these projects will be completed. So that way you might get some answers as to, is it after July 1st or before, which would help with the budgeting purposes, right?
For one, that's quite a bit of money I understand it's more than one project. A couple of them are landscaping projects, which is flowers and so on and so forth. So some of those things will not continue to be there. Some of them are, I guess, going to be permanent because they're permanent plants. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how to look at it other than I think that we need to take more time other than this night and look at all of the projects, I guess, and then maybe come back and decide maybe either which ones to attack or I don't know. I really don't.
So, I mean, I guess you got to make sure they all meet the purpose, right? I mean, are there any of them that don't meet the purpose?
My sense is they all meet the purpose, and I agree with Mark that maybe the ones that are improvements to the actual structure, if we had to filter them and say which ones do we give priority to, let's do the ones that make an investment into some sort of building permanence, like painting and windows and facades and brick, that kind of thing. Whereas landscaping, I would maybe move those into a secondary priority because it's like, well, it just doesn't seem to have the same structural permanence and
And it's not
lasting value.
correct. You think we should wait 30 days and discuss it next month, table it and discuss it next month and make decisions on those so that we have a little more time maybe to do that and think about each project, look them over, drive by them, and then decide in your mind if it is, let's say, rated from 1 to 10 and we put them at a 10, meaning we would put money towards that, and the 1 is going to be maybe pushed off until either next year or less amount of money to that project.
Is there any projects that are going to shrink the time frame as to not allow somebody to complete the project by November? Lead time on materials or just the work itself?
I don't see any of these. People are waiting to try to get anything done or even get anybody scheduled or get any of that, even their bids together. So I don't see where we need to compress this into tonight's meeting that's going to make a $46,000 decision or $43,000 decision on something that there's 10 or 8 decisions there.
Sounds good.
It does, but first thing we'll have to do at that meeting is decide how much money we're going to spend, if it's going to be the same budget or whatever.
I think I agree. We'll get a number of money is our dollar amount, and then start feasibly hacking away however you want it to do that at each of them, to either provide some to each or none to some and larger amounts to others, depending on what you see and what you've read and gone through.
Right.
I would
and
suggest
also-
that anybody that doesn't have bids or estimates, that we contact them, tell them they've got to at least try to get some kind of bid and estimates, because
And then it'll give them another 30 days to get that, which they probably won't, but at least it'll give them another 30 days.
And if they didn't give us a project start date, they need to do that too. Because some of these don't have a start date on them.
Well, some of them had even already been started.
yeah.
Well,
Well, and see, that's what the one point I was saying is, you have $5,000. If you knew you had one project, you probably could approve it for this year's budget, and then the next month, everything would be for the next budget.
Well, the program says if they've already started that we won't fund it.
Well, and that's why I asked those questions, see, is we got to go through elimination process of ones that maybe it ain't gonna fit. So,
Yeah, we
I
need to
think we
determine
look
too.
over them.
After all this, sorry, Mark, go ahead.
I think we need to look over each of them and then come back with comments next month. We'll table them all, and then that way we don't get any confusion on who would get what or amounts. We'll just table them all because we haven't been this overwhelmed before. And then go and look at the project, even if you just drive by. You don't need to, we don't need to get crazy and meet the people and all of that, but at least go and look, see what you see. The one house that Mike's talking about, I think it's like driving into town and seeing boondocks, that painting that we did on the side of that made a difference. That one house is a large house and it needs to be finished. And if we can help him finish it by giving him some funding, I know it's already been started, but it would make a difference. Other projects, if you drive by them and look, maybe those are higher on your list. I think that brick and mortar is a little better than flowers and trees. I don't disagree that it wouldn't help, but in this year when we've been overwhelmed by brick and mortar, let's maybe take care of brick and mortar for the longevity of the area versus the short term. Not that
So-
the others don't work. That's not what I'm saying.
All right, so my question would be, what can I do to provide something that would help you be able to, like, do you need a chart? Do you need something to score them? Do you need, what can we do to like make this a more smooth process?
I really think that you've already done that, Paula, because I agree with Mike also on, it's just my opinion that if you've received money in the past or have applied and gotten money from the DDA for your projects, and now you've all of a sudden found out that the other person in the district has found out that they can do the same. Well, they've been paying taxes on that piece of property, and they've never gotten any of their tax money back, and others have. So to me, that weighs a little more to me that that person finally deserves some of their tax money back. And I'm not saying each
But
one
what
of the
do you do
ones that
about-
already got money
What do you do
are
now if
out.
somebody's lived here 20 years or 30 years and somebody just moved here then?
That's true. I'm talking about the property itself. The property has
Yeah.
always produced money in the tax revenue for us. So it doesn't matter who's living there now. The
Well, and the person
property
that
is
lived
the
there for
piece
20
that-
years has paid less taxes than the person that just bought the house too. So
Right.
it all comes
I mean,
out in the wash.
it's the property that the piece of property has been paying the taxes. Whoever that owns it isn't the connection. So let's take a look at it next month. Everybody, if you can do a little homework on what we've received, and if we get more, Paula, if you can get them to us, because I guess that's possible.
Yeah, I could, we can update that spreadsheet and send you any additional applications, but I don't really want to have to resend the ones I've already done. So,
Correct. Yep, that's fine.
everybody okay with what they already have or the ability to get it from the city's website?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Anybody else have any other comments on that part of it? Nothing?
What do we want to do about what we find out that's short or not applied? Or, I mean, let's say you don't have any estimates. Who should contact them if they find this or what, or tell them they need more or whatever? I mean,
Well, I can tell you if I apply to the state for funding and I don't provide everything they need, my application goes to the bottom of the pile.
well, I mean, we got to have something to base
No,
this
but I'm
stuff
just
on.
saying that if we sent them the applications, if they didn't provide what we needed, we either need to, coddle them for no other, I have no other words for that, but to let them know, here's what you need to do. It says in here, you got to give me these 3 things. If you don't, then, basically we're going to go first to the people who've turned in everything.
And take
There
that
is
in
a
on your,
circumstance to that.
I'm sorry.
But there is a special circumstance to that if something's sole sourced.
I lost him. I didn't hear it.
Sole source, he
I
said.
think if there's something sole sourced, you can only get from one place to match something that's existing.
Okay.
But if you provide, if somebody doesn't tell us that, then, you've got to find ways to eliminate people that haven't completed the, application properly. Or you give them if you give everyone the opportunity to do that. Are there any you want us to contact for additional information? Or does somebody on the DDA want to take care of making sure everybody has all the information?
I don't hear any volunteers,
Nope.
correct?
I'm just saying that, when it is, is it competitive or isn't it competitive? Are we going to fund them all? Or are we going to fund partial? You know, I mean, that makes a difference. So if you're gonna just start saying, you know, are they complete or not, then, I mean, that's one way to start saying, okay, well, you know, this person didn't give us anything to go on, you know? Or do we want to call people and go, well, it says you're gonna start in summer 2021, you know, when will you expect to have it finished? You know, if they didn't put it in their application that it won't be finished by November 15th, which the application clearly states it must be.
So what we could do is come up with a scoring system, like just 5 points that we score them on. Like you get a point if it's exterior or if it's the actual structure. You get a point if you haven't been awarded money in the last 24 months. You get a point if you completed the application properly. You get a point if your building is visible off of the main corridor through the downtown. You know, just kind of come up with a system and then just score each one and then rank them.
We used to have a scoring system. We've used it before, but I might have to look for it unless somebody has an idea of, you know, I mean, does somebody want to take that on?
Boy.
Each person is,
I just don't have the capacity to. I'm sorry, but it's
Each-
something we could probably do it collectively, or we could do it individually. We could probably do it at our next.
But I think it
meeting
needs to be,
together.
everybody scores them the same, right?
I think we kind of need to do it as a group. And just kind of, you know, in the margins of each one, we just say, okay, let's start giving them points. You got a point because you completed the application properly. You got a point because it's a facility improvement and not landscaping. You got a point because you didn't get money in the last 24 months. You got a point because we can see your building when we drive through downtown. And you get a point because it's a business and not a residence. Maybe. I mean, just ideas. I'm just throwing stuff out there. And we could get through it pretty fast. And then we just pick the top half. Maybe we pick the top 5 and we say, thank you for all the applications. We received 10, 11, 15, and we had to choose the top 5 because of budget constraints. So we scored them and here's the results. And then we're covered. We're not just picking them. We're not just, you know, nobody says, hey, we picked them. At least we have a systematic defense that we followed a systematic process so we can defend our decision to choose 5.
kind of strange, but we've never had that problem before.
Yeah.
Which
But we
is
could
good.
probably get through it pretty quickly if we give them just 30 more days we could just reach out to all of them and say, we've deferred a decision for 30 days. You have a chance to improve, strengthen, or add to your application. Here's a reminder of what we're looking for. If you see anything you want to add, please resubmit by this date. And put it on them. Like, we shouldn't have to go to them and say, you only gave us 1 estimate, and then go to another group and say, what's your deadline? I mean, we should ask them to read the guidelines and submit their application and resubmit if they need to or want to.
I don't know about resubmitting and all that. That'll turn it into another 30 days.
Well,
And I don't
resubmit,
think there
I
should be
mean
a
just
point for a business or resident. It's all the same.
Sure, that's okay. No, I mean, I don't mean resubmit. I just mean, do you want to add to your application? Do you want to add another estimate? Do you want to tell us when the due date, when your completion time is? Is there anything you want to add to your submittal? Because we're saying some of them are, we've kind of said, I'm just working off of what I heard somebody say, that some of them seemed incomplete and maybe we could go back and ask for more information. Maybe we just treat them all fairly and treat them all equally and not give them false hope and just say, you know, we're going to make a decision at our next meeting, hopefully, and you have an opportunity to add to your application if you would like.
Well, see, and just like you say, being fair, you got one I just pulled out. There isn't an estimate at all in here except their estimate where they put prices down. And, you know,
Yep, so they're disqualified. They don't
Correct.
get, they don't get the point, and then somehow they won't make the cut. Maybe we give them 2 points for completing a proper application.
well, maybe we just go through what we got and don't tell them anything and use the point system and grade them that way and then let them go through it again if that's what they need to do for an open period and get what they need.
Actually,
That
that's
makes
not a
it
bad idea to just
it makes
say,
it
look,
easier
we've
to
got
determine.
more. Right, because we have more than we need anyway, so why not just score them now and then tell them the reason why you didn't make the cut is your application wasn't complete. You only had one bid, you provided your own estimate, whatever reason.
Does anyone else have any concerns that like next year we might not get any? Like if people get rejected, they're not gonna bother even applying for stuff like this?
I wouldn't, because if we give money to 5 establishments, that's pretty generous, I think, actually.
As someone who's applied for a lot of grant funding, if I didn't apply anymore every time we were denied, we wouldn't have half of what we have in Lanesburg.
That's right.
Just send out a bunch of mailers like begging people to take advantage of this program, and then you get people to react and actually do the work to submit their stuff.
Well,
I
go
mean,
ahead,
I don't know
Amanda.
that we were begging people to take advantage of the program. I think we were trying to make sure they were informed of the program.
And there are program guidelines where we are asking them to submit a complete application. And so I do think it might, the flip side of that coin is that we could approve 11 this year, and then we're implying that we could approve another 10 next year. So I think it's wise to be cautious that we're not overextending ourselves and setting a precedence for additional years.
Well, I think that kind of speaks for itself, and Mark said it, and Richard even said it. To answer that question is, you know, if we can afford to do it, maybe we would fund them all. But what if next year nobody applied at all then? So then we defeated our purpose there too. We've been going on with this for what, at least 10 to 15 years, and we've had, you know, up and down, no applicants, 4 or 5, anybody that applied got it type of deal. Okay, we got a good situation. We got too many, but we have woke up the community. They know that we have a program here that they can apply for.
Yeah, I don't think that in anything we sent out that said you would automatically be funded.
Everybody should know everybody's got a budget.
I mean, I don't think that, you know, if everybody in the entire district gave us an application, how would you guys fund it? I mean, what, do you only send to 10% of the district every year? I mean, I don't understand the philosophy that every single application must be funded. I mean, I understand that we want to encourage people to continue to apply, but at the same time, I mean, there's lots of things we get denied for when we apply, and we still keep trying.
I think that the fact that people know now that they can get their, let's just say hypothetically, they can get their house painted, they can get windows replaced, they can get a porch built. Everybody in this district now knows that and has been reminded, be new or old, for years. And that's what we want. We want regular participation. That way, because everything ages over the years.
Then that's what you do. But if you don't, you have to find a way to weed some out.
Right. I agree.
What is every thought on how you weed them out?
Well, I think once you jump back to following the way the guidelines are next year, then that will automatically take care of itself. It has in the past.
Yep.
You mean not telling everybody that the program exists?
No, following the deadline and the requirements of our packet.
The deadline, right? So that's we just actually went and told everybody that, you know, hey, this program's available. And almost all of these were there by the deadline.
which is pretty good, but some of them are incomplete.
Right.
Right, and that, we never said, hey, we're gonna accept incomplete applications. We never said, hey, we're gonna, you know, it's okay if you don't give us any estimates, or you don't have to complete it by November 15th. We just
It's
said
up
we're gonna be flexible about
determine-
when we receive them.
It's up to us to determine whether or not we're going to fund each of them, any of them. We don't have to fund any of them if we don't want. You can vote them all down. And you don't need an excuse
Right.
to not
Right, but-
fund any of them.
If you guys want us to put together like a chart so that you can, you know, give them points or whatever, I guess I just need to know what points you guys want to assign to them.
I think that's up for us to decide after we get their application. We need
Okay.
to review the application, look at the project, drive by it, and look at whatever it is that they're trying to accomplish. And then in your mind, come back to the next meeting and decide if you are willing to finance it in any way, shape, or form, period. Does everyone agree with that?
I'm fine with it.
I'm good with that.
Everyone else? So next
Sounds
month, after you've looked at all of them, you've given them, you can rate them however you want, it doesn't matter. And then next month, we're gonna take each one and we will just vote to see if you want to give them any money at all, a portion of money, or all of whatever we can give. And put that in your notes, so when we come back to next month's meeting, we can just go to each one and vote on them. It'll make it conservative. We don't need excuses. We don't need any reasons. Just need to vote, move forward on the amounts.
I do
And
think
that's
that,
how we'll handle it. Paula doesn't need to put it together.
I think we
For,
probably.
to send to them and then to send back to us. We'll make decisions based on what we have for information and you driving by and looking and seeing if it impacts in your mind enough to give it money. And then we'll decide. Okay?
That sounds good.
Let's do it that way. Everyone in agree?
Yes.
No one agree?
Sounds good. Yep.
Okay, so we'll adjourn and we'll come back next month and make decisions on each of these projects.
Do we need, I think we might need Rosemary to put something together for us as to what we've already spent.
Yes.
Agreed.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, we need to
Okay.
know total what we have left after everything's paid.
Will do.
Can you do that, Rosemary?
Yes, I can.
Okay, great.
Thank
That'll
you.
also give you something to go by once you come back to the meeting.
and if you get me that, Rosemary, I can send it out.
That'd be
Okay.
awesome.
And I will send any other applications we get in the meantime.
10-4.
So are we
Thanks,
adjourned?
thanks, everybody.
Sounds like it.
Yes.
All righty.